it's an ongoing cost because it changes other relationships. And it can really, and it has for Sonia and Anna and many of the Pike families, it can just completely take over your life. Canada. Well, I have been to Canada. I've been to Toronto. I've been to the film festival.
Oh, you have. Oh, that's
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah, yeah. I
Oh,
came. It's a long time ago, actually, though, with a film I made about a massacre, a shooting massacre in New Zealand called Out of the film was called Out of the Blue, and yeah, that premiered in Toronto some years ago, which was a great experience.
oh, that's wonderful. Yes, that's great. Oh, well, I'm glad to be talking with you. This is wonderful. And thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And Pike River is a fabulous film as well. It is such a powerful story. And I had never heard of the Pike River tragedy before, the mining collapse. How did you come to, why did you want to tell this story now? How did you come to be involved?
Excuse me. Sorry, I've just a little frog in my throat from my coffee sip. um, I Pike River is no, not a well-known story in Canada, but it's an incredibly well-known story in New Zealand. Literally every New Zealander knows about it. It's just constantly in the news because it's a story that everyone knows is a terrible injustice or involves multiple injustices. And I'm interested in stories like that, but I'm always looking for what would make this into a movie. And uh, really, what got me properly involved in this was meeting Sonia Rockhouse and Anna Osborne, and actually doing a road trip with them. I rang them up and said, I'm interested in the Pike River story. And they said, why don't you come on a road trip? And I went on this road trip across the mountains, mimicking the road trip that Sonia takes in the film, and sat in the back of their car while they were driving to Greymouth, driving to the mine, and gosh, it was like I was with Thelma and Louise or something. They were just the dynamic between them. It didn't feel like kind of grieving housewives. The dynamic between them was they were funny, they were witty, they were often sort of quite dirty, and potty humor, and and I thought, wow, okay, there's an amazing story here because I was aware of their story, their fight for justice, but at the heart of it, I could see sitting in the back of Sonia's station wagon that there were two, from my point of view, incredible characters who had a really unique and super close relationship. And because films about characters, that's what we want to see really. And I went, wow, I've got to explore that. I knew there was going to be a film, 20 minutes into that journey.
That's amazing. So it really does start with the two of them, and the film is the focus of the two of them, of course. And it's interesting with the Pike 29. Like not being familiar with the story, forgive me. When I start watching the film, I kind of expected it to be about the dramatic rescue and whatnot, but really it's about the fight for these two women to push back and get and for justice for the Pike 29. It's really remarkable. What was it like telling the story through their eyes? I mean, you've spent time with them, and the story is being crafted, working with them to help bring this to life.
Oh, working with them was fantastic because they're such, they're such, they're alive. These people, they're such great personalities, and I was respectful towards them, of course, knowing what they'd gone through, but because they've lived it, and they've gone through such intensity, like everything was on the table. They were just completely open with myself and the writer Fiona Samuel. I literally know more about Sonia and Anna's very private life, stuff that isn't in the film, than I do about any of my best friends, because I guess the experience was so intense that they're just happy to share anything. Yeah, my sex life, whatever. It's just and that's a huge gift for a storyteller, because it means that you can just gather story, then filter it, and then of course frame it, hoping that you can reflect back to Sonya and Anna and to an audience a truth. So it was a real privilege having them involved. They were involved in the scripting process with a lot of interviews and just a lot of time spent in in the back of that station wagon, and they came to set, which was fantastic. They were there quite a lot while we were shooting, just outside of the frame, which was fascinating for them and very, very special for us. And then they joined us on a nationwide tour just at the end of last year when the film released in New Zealand. And, I've sat in 20 packed screenings throughout New Zealand, and in every one there was a standing ovation for Sonya and Anna. And for me to see the validation that they were getting from the New Zealand audience was just an amazing thing. I mean, they've inspired people.
That's incredible. That's incredible. And like I said, it's funny with a film like this, you fall in love with the performances and the characters, but to spend time with the real people, I can only imagine what that would be like for them to be standing like off to the side of the camera when their life is playing out on screen. Like that's such a unique way to be involved and points to see your world reenacted. Um, a- and I wondered too, like,
Yeah, how crazy, right? How
yeah.
crazy. I often had that. I often had that thought, and it's one of the pleasures of kind to me. I've been making films for a long time now, and it's my world. I'm used to being on set, and nothing's strange about that. But when you bring in someone new, where you know that everything's strange for them, everything's like this whole weird Hollywood or New Zealand Hollywood kind of world. Just sort of like what you see on the behind the scenes stuff, but not. You kind of experience that vicariously a bit, kind of through them. I could really feel their excitement. Sorry, I
No,
bumped
no,
into you
no,
for just a
no.
second.
That's amazing. I wanted to know too, like, the film comes to a sense of closure, but it also feels like it's still open. Is it still going on? The legal battles, are they still going on for this particular story?
Yeah, as indicated in the in the final um, um,
Text?
title,
Yeah,
whatever the
whatever
final
it is.
text, whatever they call that. It is an ongoing story. In fact, probably sometime in the next month is our indication. We'll discover whether there are going to be prosecutions or not. And if there are not prosecutions, then Sonia and Anna have vowed that they're going to reignite their fight, start the protest over again. I might be making the follow-up film. I'm joking, by the way. um, but and if there are prosecutions, then that will be a huge thing, because there would be extraditions, and it would be quite a massive thing, and that would, if there are prosecutions, that would truly validate what Sonia and Anna did, because essentially what they did is they stopped the mine from being sealed, right? And when you think about that metaphorically, they stopped secrets, truths from being exposed, from being exposed, from not being exposed. The people, powerful people, were trying to hide secrets away in the dark, which is the best place to hide secrets. And these two went, no, we're going to fight that, because A, yes, we'd like the bodies, the remains of our men back, but B, and much more importantly for them, we want justice. Anna said to me, Rob, because I'm just a normal person, just trying to understand their story, and trying to help other ordinary people understand it. And Anna said, Rob, if your son was murdered I don't know, in a back alley in New York, you'd expect the police to go in and explore the scene of the crime so that hopefully those responsible can be brought to justice. Well, in this case, her son was murdered and the scene of the crime was blocked off, never explored until recently because of their fight. You know, and when you put it in simple terms like that, you go, yeah, it's just simple. It's right and wrong. What's the right way to operate and what's the wrong way to operate? And you know, the moral compass, I'd like to think, does head towards the right, but it can take some time.
Well, I would love to know too, like for a film like this, I mean, with things still going on, what are your hopes for a film like this to do? Is it to build awareness? Is it to drive further action, or is it just to make sure these stories are told?
Well, it's all of that, but it's all of that, but I think it goes beyond that. I think that stories like this can be inspirational. Um, you know, you tell a story about a particular thing, and I've told a story about a particular event in a particular place in a little country called New Zealand. But actually, there's a relevance and a resonance to that story, which is essentially a story that tells you that if you fight, you can win. You can get somewhere. You can change the narrative, even when you're fighting the powerful. And I think that is a story for our times. And I think that that's the sort of story that can inspire anyone, anywhere around the world, you know, because I don't know, I can only speak for myself, but, you know, it feels like we're living in a time where you feel pretty disempowered. You know, it's like there's only, you know, can I say it? You know, two men who seem to have a voice in this world at the moment, and they're both. We know who they are. I'm not going to comment further, but I think it's important that the rest of us realize that we actually can have a voice, and that voice can create change. That's what Sonia and Anna realized. That's what the story's really about.
Absolutely.
So I hope it can inspire others. You know, and who knows? It might inspire young people, a young person somewhere. You know, particularly, I think it can be particularly inspiring for women because these two, Sonia and Anna, are just ordinary mums and housewives. You know, they haven't come from wealth, they haven't come from power, but they figured it out and they took on the most powerful people in New Zealand and changed the game. I mean, that's worth celebrating, right? I think that's worth making a film about too.
Absolutely. I think the term ordinary in their case is an interesting one.
It's an
Yeah, we
inverted commas,
put
right?
it in quotes. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, totally, absolutely.
But there is something to that. Is that yes, they were wives and mothers but they do like who are well. I want to be careful what I say here. Um, they are everyday women who have stepped up when the opportunity arises to do something utterly remarkable, and it really is an incredible story. It's just amazing to see the the passion for justice that they have out of love for their loved ones for sure, but the drive and the passion that stems out of them is just remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, we all, it's great to celebrate. I agree, of course, and it's great to celebrate these sort of figures. But the other thing that I wanted to do with the film was, really also make it real and show that there's a cost to all this. Which is why the film also explores the relationship, for example, between Anna and her daughter. In order to take on this fight, in a way, she had to leave her family for a bit. She had to kind of, she was so single-minded that she sort of forgot everything else, and all of that's kind of great now. In fact, her daughter came to the film, came had a special screening of the film, and was hugely moved by it, and really celebrates her mum now. They've got a great relationship. But I while wanting to inspire people, I it's a true story, and the truth of a story like this is that these events, they're hard, they take a toll. My term was what is the cost of Pike, and the cost of these sort of industrial tragedies, which do happen everywhere, including Canada, is a obviously a personal cost to the families, which is the cost of not having their loved ones around, but it's an ongoing cost because it changes other relationships. And it can really, and it has for Sonya and Anna and many of the Pike families, it can just completely take over your life for a decade or more, forever. It can destroy your life, and that's just awful when you think that the reason for that to happen is because someone wanted to make some money,
Yeah.
and build a mine the cheapest way possible without the right safety regimes. That was basically a ticking time bomb. No one thinks of the cost of these things, and in cases like this, there's always a huge human cost, and we don't talk about that very much. The news cycle moves on. I guess a film like this, shines a light kind of back on those ordinary people.
Well, and I love the way you said that there. You're right. The news cycle does move on, but the families don't. They can't. It's not the same way. And we see that heart come out through this film, through these families, and especially through Anna and Sonya and their fight for sure.
You know what? I met Anna about 8 years ago. Before she even started the fight, I met with her in her house, and when she was completely stuck, she it was in one of the low points that is depicted in the film. And I came out of the meeting. It was a 2-hour conversation because I was exploring Pike a long time ago. And I said to my writer, "Gosh, I don't think that woman is ever going to escape this. I just thought she'd top herself, basically." And because the place that she was in felt so heavy and so dark. And then fast forward just about 2 years later, once they started their protest, I met her again, and the person that I met was completely and utterly transformed. So I witnessed firsthand this transformative journey. And there's no sort of this, I'm not talking about kind of film structure or, how we want to make, stories that make us feel good. I saw this for real. She was stuck in the mine, metaphorically, kind of like her husband. She was in a dark hole. And through fighting, she released herself. She didn't just do this fight for justice. She actually did it without realizing it to save herself. And I think there's an interesting lesson there for any of us. We often think, oh, we'll just that's a hard thing. We'll put that in a box and shove it away. And sometimes you've just got to deal with it and fight. And Anna and Sonya are, I think, living testament to how that can change everything,
Absolutely.
personally and beyond.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You can see them find themselves as
Yeah,
they
yeah,
step forward.
that's very very accurate to the truth, that sort of that journey, and but of course it was amazing to see it firsthand.
Honestly, Rob, we're out of time, but thank you so much for the chance to chat. Honestly, it is just lovely chatting with you, and it is such a powerful film. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been really great chat, and thanks for engaging with it. It's
Absolutely.
as we said, It's not. It's a New Zealand story. It happened a long way, a long time ago in a country far, far away. But I guess when stories have a kind of a human element, then that's always what you hope with films, isn't it? That you can connect with people around the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
Yeah.
this
All
film
right.
can be connected with anyone. Thank you so much, Rob. Have a great day.
Thank you. Brilliant. You too. Thanks.
Bye bye.